Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
What's going on, guys? It's your host, Jackie Chism, back again with another episode of the Chism Sports Groove. That's the CSG if you didn't know. And today we got a great show again. Man, episode 18. Whew, it's flying by. Definitely want to get into some of that Supercar Wild Weekend, Super Wildcard Weekend. Why is that a tongue twister already? Yes, definitely. Get into a lot of that to start off. And we're going to preview the Cardinals and the Rams today. Also, the Titans got the Bengals in the division round. So we're going to preview that for just an early look into it. Then we also want to hit the good, the bad, the ugly, and we got some NBA primetime in Vegas, baby. We got hot news and not news today. And I'm going to go with my final thoughts today as well. We got some crazy shit to talk about. All right, guys, let's get it.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Yo, what's up, guys? Back again. Definitely want to jump right into some of these Super Wildcard Weekend games. Man, we had some good ones this weekend, and we did not have some good ones this weekend. I want to start off by talking about the Raiders and the Bengals. Man, it actually ended up being a pretty decent game coming down to the wire there. Derek Carr drove the team down the field for a late game touchdown to tie it up, maybe even go for two to get the win. But Bengals defense was able to come up strong, and Jermaine Pratt was able to get an interception, jumping a route, and game from there. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow did come up huge in that game. I think Derek Carr, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller did not disappoint as well. So, I mean, it was just a good game overall. Both defenses were hurting in this game. I do believe there was a couple cornerbacks and defensive backs that went down for the Raiders. Defensive line issues for the Cincinnati Bengals. Shoot, it was just a wild game to start off the wild card weekend. I mean, it came down to the end in which that's all you really hope for. It's not one of your teams, so you just hope for the best game possible, in which I feel like both of them did. This was actually the first game in playoff history in which both teams had 4 field goals, or 4 more field goals. So I mean, it just shows that the defenses were coming through at the end. Everybody was playing at a really high level. I mean, nobody was playing to lose in this game, in which, I mean, I commend both of them. The Raiders have like a lot to work for next year. I think they should have some cap space, a lot of cap space. They have a lot to rebuild with. So, I mean, it's not much of a rebuild. They're a playoff team, so look for them to come back strong and challenge the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers next year for the division. Bengals moving on, playing the Titans. I mean, it's going to be a good matchup coming up next Saturday. Next, I'm going to jump right into the next game that was played on Saturday, which was the Patriots that traveled to Buffalo to play the Bills, and this was just a blowout. I mean, not even close. The Patriots barely even showed up for this one. Bills came out with the win on this one, 47-17. It just wasn't even that close. The Bills essentially played a perfect offensive game. 0 punts, 0 fourth downs, and the only time they did not convert a third down was when they took a knee on third down at the end of the game. I mean, they missed 2 extra points in this one, which will be on the special teams, but essentially, offensively, they had perfect games. A perfect game. You just don't know where to start when you look at like at the Patriots when it comes to that. The Bills look like the best team in football in that game. It just was a terrible sight to see. Like, I wish there was another game on that I could have flipped to. I ended up watching like the second game in the season between the two, and that was, even though the Bills came away with a definite win in that one, it was still a closer game than that one was. It was a better game. Sheesh. The Patriots just lack like explosiveness, and yes, I do mean offense and defensively, and I do mean speed, but I also mean like up front when it comes to defense. Like they're missing the Vince Wilfords of the future, of the past. Somebody who can, consistently push the pocket inside and collapse it so that Josh Allen is getting outside, Matthew Judon, and some of the speed on the back end can catch up to them and get them down on the ground. Their linebackers are so slow. Bentley and Hightower are slow. I mean, it shows when it comes to crossing routes. Isaiah McKenzie had a field day, had a career day against them, like just literally crossing against the middle, against their slots, and against their wide receiver, against their linebackers. I mean, it was a mismatch all day. Man, overall, you see that like Bill Belichick's got some work to do. I don't doubt him that he's gonna like have a plan to push that team forward. I mean, they were very aggressive last year, and like with extended salary cap that's could be coming up, you never know what's going to happen from any team this offseason. Next, I want to jump right into the next blowout, which was the Eagles and the Bucks. The Bucks ended up coming out with this one 31-15, but the score did not show the level of dominance that the Bucks had in all 3 phases during this game. It just was not a good game. Like, nobody can tell me otherwise. If anybody can tell me like what positive for the first 3 quarters that the Eagles were able to do, I mean, I would love to see it down in the comments down there. Like, otherwise, I saw none. They were able to put together a few drives at the end, but you can tell that the Bucks were just playing back, making sure they were able to wrap up, making sure they didn't get burnt too bad over top. I mean, Quez Watkins and Jalen Reagor are speed demons, so I mean, they weren't able to just really get loose in that one. There were some tight contested catches for Dallas Goedert and Quez Watkins in that game, but like that's it. That's all that they were able to really get. The running game was non-existent. Jalen Hurts was pretty bottled up. I mean, for me, with all the screens and bubbles that they were running to Devontae Smith and to Jalen Reagor, it kind of reminded me of like a college offense almost, and it worked almost like a college offense against a pro offense. I mean, it was not a good look. It was too conservative for my blood, knowing that they were playing so far behind already. You're playing with house money, and go for the field. Go for the money, man. Like that's my mantra. Like, why not? What you got to lose? You're supposed to lose anyway. Well, ride out in flames than conservatively lose by 2 touchdowns. Like, that's me. All right, I just want to jump right on into the next game, which again is another blowout, which is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kansas City came out with that one 42-21, and again, that did not show the level of like dominance that the Kansas City Chiefs offense was able to inflict on Pittsburgh throughout that game. I mean, J.J. Watt is a monster. He deserves to be an All-Pro, deserves to be a sack leader. He played amazing with that. He had that tip pass that ended up being a interception. Then had the fumble recovery for a touchdown that gave them the lead for a minute. Then Kansas City woke up. I mean, I think they scored 6 straight times. It was money at that point. Like, it just was routine, and there was no answer for that offense and the weapons that Kansas City had. I mean, Pittsburgh, they played their best that they could play. I feel like they were able to salvage a couple of drives at the end to make the score a little more reputable, losing like by 21, but 21-point win, 21-point loss in the playoffs tells you everything you need to know about that game. Last but not least, I'm trying to keep it together, is the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco was able to come out with this one, and I told you so. I told you so. This was my wild card pick. The writings were on the wall that Dallas was going to have another first round exit. And it was not because of talent. It was not because of like play calling. It was because of just like coaching, because of like situational. It just was like everything that normal teams practice on. Like they fail at. Like I just feel like it's amazing. Every year they never disappoint. I mean, it surprises no one that should be at this point. I mean, 26 years without like getting to an NFC Championship game. I mean, what couple of playoff wins in that same span? Like it's atrocious, and for the fans to be mad at the referee when you guys are down 23-7, game was over with. There was some garbage time bullshit that was going on, and Jerry Jones is completely right in saying that they shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. Of course not. There's a bunch of reasons why, like that last play is even on. It was on Dallas to begin with. Oh my God! For them to come out and get smacked in the mouth like the way that they did, Debo, that man came through 110 total yards. Good Lord, he's a monster. Yeah. To tell me that Deebo Samuels is gonna have 3 targets in a game, and he's gonna dominate it. Like, that's ridiculous. Dude's on another level. It was a great game to see, just because the meltdown was always coming. It never fails. Never fails. Shout out to San Francisco. Jimmy G almost gave it away. Like, I want to give it to Jimmy G. Like, he definitely worked with that defense to try to give it away, but they wanted to give it away even more. I've never seen defensive line holding in my life. Maybe once, maybe twice in like a college game, but never in a pro game have I ever seen a defensive line holding call, or just blatantly. And there were 2 blatant ones, Gallimore and Randy Gregory, who just like bear hugged the man and I guess tried to like sleep with him at the, like, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but it just was a royal collapse from a team that was so talented. CeeDee Lamb just did not show up. Zeke was at 31 rushing yards, 13 touches, and 31 total yards. It's a total team effort. 0 sacks on Jimmy G for that famed pass rush is unacceptable if you're a Cowboys fan, but lovable for everybody else. Alright guys, that's enough of talking about these sorry ass Cowboys. Alright guys, next we're going to talk about these Cardinals and Rams game, I think that there's like a black cat that's going on. Just to start off the conversation with playing at home, where the Super Bowl is. So the Super Bowl this year is in SoFi, in LA. So, which is also the host of this first playoff series, Wildcard game. I think there is a true omen to that. Like, I mean, in life I'm not superstitious, but in sports I am super superstitious. Like, if every time he play with a nickel in his sock and he get 100 yards, I mean, like, get that man a nickel. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't play with it. Whatever makes you feel better. I mean, like, playing at home where there's just a true omen to that. I'm gonna tune in and I'm not gonna try to miss a snap for this one. I think that there are some definitely matchups that are going to dictate this game, though. And I just want to start off with the wide receivers of both teams versus the defensive backs of both teams. We're going to start with, we talk about the wide receivers for the Cardinals and their matchup against Jalen Ramsey and that defensive back. The defensive backs for the Rams, who just recently signed Eric Weddle, and to my knowledge is going to play significant snaps in this game. There's a significant speed advantage for the Cardinals, seeing if they're healthy with Rondale Moore and Andy Isabella, Christian Kirk, who are some very fast receivers. We're not so sure if D-Hop will be back, but if he is, that's a huge upgrade for that wide receiver core and would definitely scale the favor into their favor. But it just depends on how those one-on-one matchups get open early, so that, because I feel like the next matchup that is going to dictate this game will coincide right with it, which is the pass rush. Chandler Jones is a beast off the end. Von Miller is a beast off the end. You got significant pass rush up the middle with Aaron Donald from the Rams. Marcus Golden is not something to sneeze at from on the other side of Chandler Jones. Maybe J.J. Watt is back as well. He's a game time decision for this one. You never know, but that would be a significant upgrade in the middle of that defense as well. I mean, it's Kyler and Matthew Stafford definitely need time for those wide receivers to get open, especially on those deeper routes. Because when they don't pressure, they tend to improvise, and that's when things start to break down against them. Now, I would say that Kyler Murray with his feet are better when situations break down because of his speed and how elusive he is and how he can just get some yards and get down. Other than Matthew Stafford, who's on the wrong side of 30 and always been on the slower side of 4-4. So, I mean, it's going to be a great game in this one. You never know what you're going to get because, again, it is a wild card game. I feel like there's other omens playing as well, like superstitiously. So, I mean, it's all going to come down to whose supporting cast can get the most. So, which running game can eat up the most clock, get the most yards, keep those first downs coming, and who's turning the ball over less. If Kyler is going to fumble and get a couple on scrambles, and he's going to turn the ball over a couple of times, it's going to put the Rams in a better position to win. And if Matthew Stafford's missing on those deep throws or late on some throws or getting eaten up in the backfield, it's going to give some momentum to the underdog in this one. Now, I'm going to definitely go with the Cardinals in this one, 21-20 over the Rams. I feel like they're just going to get it. The Rams have been playing so sloppy lately. They can lose to anybody. And the Cardinals, depending on which Cardinals you're getting right now, health-wise and continuity-wise. They could beat anybody. So I'm rolling with the Cardinals in this one. All right, guys. When we come back, definitely gonna jump right into Titans time. Stay tuned.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Henry breaks a tackle. Touchdown, Titans! Touchdown, Titans! He is the baddest man in the NFL!
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Yo, what's up, guys? Vegas, baby. This is the segment where we give our locks, chances, and wild cards, and then we go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of anything we just betted on last week. So, I just think that it's already just time to start with the good. Like, we're gonna jump right into it. The Super Wildcard weekend was ridiculous in all sense. Even though it's still like we got one more game left, I feel like it's already given us a lot to digest so far going through. So going with the good, I want to start off with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were able to clear their 8.5 point spread against the Eagles. It was never in doubt. The Eagles scored some garbage touchdowns late in the game, but they definitely looked like the team to beat in that game. Even though it was a 2 versus 7, Eagles barely squeaking into the playoffs. They got what they needed done, and they're on to the next. Next, I want to definitely shout out to the 49ers. Deebo Samuels and that defense came through. Man, that running game was ridiculous. I definitely said that they were in a position that they were able to beat anybody in the NFC right at this point, and the Dallas Cowboys were able to lose to anybody at this point, and what did you know? Showed up again. Next, I definitely want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that they had a good win against the Raiders. It did come down to a last-minute drive, but the defense stood tall even throughout all the injuries that they were having throughout that game, and they were able to pull it out. With a 7-point win, he'd being a 5.5 point underdog, making sure. 5.5 point favorite in that one, still pulling out a 7-point win. You're able to do what you're supposed to do and get out of there. So, big ups to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll see you in Tennessee. Next, I want to jump right on into the bad for this past weekend as well. And looking at my notes, I definitely would just start off with the Raiders. Oh man, they definitely were in a position to keep that game closer than what it was. 4 field goals for both teams only looks bad for the losing team at the end of the day. Because one of those field goals becomes a touchdown, and that game looks a little bit different at the end there, So, and an interception in the red zone to end the game is always bad at the end of the day. Throughout all the turmoil of things, season-wise, they definitely overcame a lot, but for this game, you again 4 field goals in that game. You would think that one of those field goals come a touchdown, and they clear the actual they actually 5.5 points, and they actually clear that. So close. Next is going to be the Eagles in this one as well. They woke up so late. If you were betting with them in this one, it just was not a good look. They were down 31 at some point, and before they decided to pile up on some garbage stats, it just was not a close game at all for the Eagles. Even so betting with them was just not a good smart look. But did you really expect them to be close in this one to begin with? Last on the bad is definitely the Steelers. Going up 7-0, you thought that game was going to be close, especially the way the first quarter was. Both teams were pretty stagnant offensively. The Steelers' defense was actually showing up, making plays. TJ Watt was able to get a touchdown off a fumble. So it was not close close at all, and it just shows that they were not like even close in that one. I mean, being that it was a 12.5 point favorite for the Chiefs, like you would think that they would like have like be closer than that, but it wasn't even that close of a game to begin with. All right, jumping right into my ugly. Who else should be in the ugly first, other than one Dallas Cowboys? To have that much talent on offense and defense, like to have all pros on 2 all pros within their first 2 years on defense, to have DeMarcus Lawrence playing at a high level, Randy Gregory playing at a high level, to have Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott and Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, just a levy of weapons on the offensive line and on just buried in between everywhere. It just did not make sense for them to put out the effort that they did. I mean, offensively, it was just non-existent. I mean, 3 decent drives in the entire game, all they were able to put together. The turnovers, the penalties, just the coaching situations were lacking in every sense of the word. It just was an ugly performance, which I reveled in the entire time. All right, last on is going to be definitely the Patriots. Be blown out like that for Bill Belichick to be the defensive genius, quote unquote, that he is, to give up a perfect offensive game. It is ugly. Like, what do you do defensively? You have to go back through and just chalk everything back up on the board and see where you can change everywhere. Like, that's terrible. Like, the lights were shining the brightest, and that's what you put out there defensively. Mac Jones was not that much far off either. Like, good Lord, he looked like a rookie quarterback, and they should have trusted him a little bit more, you would think, but would it really have mattered? All right, guys, we're going to jump right into some NBA games. I'm looking at my notes for Monday night. We're going to start off with the Bulls traveling to Memphis to play the Grizzlies. I would like the Grizz in this one. I mean, Bulls are flying high as well. This is going to be a really good matchup. I feel like there's going to be 200-plus points in this one, but the Grizz are just in the West. The West is just a little bit stronger of teams right now, and until that changes, I'm just going to stick with them right now. I think Ja is playing at MVP level, and coming off a couple of like tough losses this past weekend, I think they're going to show up when it matters the most, especially against a team that most people would love to see in Memphis, which is the Chicago Bulls. Next, we got the Bucks traveling to Atlanta to play the Hawks, and the Hawks just have not played up to the level that they were playing at last year. I mean, COVID's one thing, injuries is another thing. I mean, like, chemistry throughout those times is going to be stagnant as well. But I mean, you just expected so much more, and the Bucks are still the Bucks, so I think they're going to run over them in this one. All right, last but not least, on Monday, we got the Jazz traveling to LA to play the Lakers. You never know which Lakers team you're going to get. They're going to play, you would imagine they're going to play a lot more Dwight Howard in this game because of Rudy Gobert's presence. But I just don't see a way the Lakers beating some of the top teams. They're so inconsistent. I think that this is one that they're going to fold as well. LBJ is probably going to put up like historic numbers again, like continuous, like a great pace for anybody who's ever played 19 years in the league. And it's for what? Man, it's tough to see for the King out there in LA. Hopefully they can get him some help. All right, taking over to Tuesday, we got the T-Wolves traveling to New York to play the Knicks. I mean, the T-Wolves are another seesaw team this year. They've played some really good games against some tough teams, and have lost some really tough games against some bad teams. Like it's one of those teams you never know what you're going to get out of. And playing against the Knicks, who's another seesaw team, it's just a great game to see. You never know, man. This one could come down to the wire, last shot, or it could be a blowout going either way. I think that I'm just gonna roll with the T-Wolves in this one. I mean, the way they played against the Warriors, and I mean, like, just blowing them out by 20 is any indicative to like how they would play against like a Knicks team. I'm just gonna go with them. All right, last on Tuesday, we got the Pistons traveling to Golden State to play the Warriors. I'm going to the Warriors in this one, with or without Steph Curry. There's not much that the Pistons are going to be able to do in that one. All right, on Wednesday, we got the Hornets going to Boston to play the Celtics, and I like the Hornets in this one. They're getting better as they play. The more as they play, I feel like they're getting less showboaty, as I would say, as you would say, and more efficient. So I mean, they're still gonna make a lot of highlight plays. Miles Bridges plays above the rim. LaMelo Ball is a highlight reel just waiting to happen every time he touches the ball. I mean, they have some like high flyers, and the way that they play, Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward are just a really good basketball. And to see them like, you know, settling into playing really good basketball is going to be like crazy for the NBA for years to come. I can't wait to see it. I'm just going to go with the Hornets in this one. All right, next we got the Grizzlies traveling to Milwaukee to play the Bucks, and that's going to be a crazy game as well. I just don't know if the Bucks have enough scoring in that one to keep up with the Grizzlies. Giannis is going to terrorize the Grizzlies. I don't think that there's any matchup that they can use. You can try to rotate Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. on him, maybe, but like, can they really guard him? Can they really stop Giannis? Can anybody really stop Giannis? I mean, so I'm just gonna roll with the Grizzlies in that one again. I just think that Desmond Bane and John Morant and the 3-point game that the Grizzlies have, like any given night, is going to just gonna show up again. So roll with them. All right, last game on Wednesday, we got the Clippers traveling to Denver to play the Nuggets. And I like what the Clippers are doing. T. Lue is a really good coach, man. Like, I mean, he's got them playing at the best level that they can play at with the talent that they have, man. Like this, I mean, they still do have some talent. Don't get me wrong. Like, but I mean, without Kawhi Leonard and PG-13, like you're already handicapping yourself. So, but you know, like it's still not enough, I feel like, to play against a Joker-led team. So I'm just gonna roll with the Nuggets in that one. They're just gonna be too much to handle for for that team at this point right now. All right, on Thursday we got the Suns traveling to Dallas to play the Mavs, and man, is anybody gonna give the Suns their roses this year? Like, man, they're playing like the definite number one team again. Like, they're playing out of their mind all year, bringing back majority of their team and keeping that continuity. Chris Paul can make continuity with anything at this point. He's such a good point guard. Devin Booker is lights out, superstar. I mean, just the talent that they have with Bridges and with Cam Johnson and with the rest of the squad that they have going on down there, it's just ridiculous. I mean, like, I'm not betting against them most nights. They only have 8 losses to this point, and I don't think that the Mavs can give them 9. So. All right, last game on Thursday, we got the Pacers traveling to Golden State to play the Warriors, and with or without Steph, again, I just like the Pacers are going through so many injuries. I don't think T.J. Warren still hasn't played yet in this season. Brogdon's going in and out of the lineup. So, I mean, they're just dealing with a lot of things in that organization. You think that Miles Turner is probably going to be moved by the trade deadline. So, there's just so much going on. And the Warriors are just a consistent model team, even with injuries, if they're missing Draymond. Still, I think they're going to be too much for the Pacers. So, I'm going with the Warriors in that one again. All right, guys. Let's wrapping it up for Vegas, baby. All right, when we come back, I'm going to jump right into hot news, not news. So stay tuned, guys.
Hit that like and subscribe button. And we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
What?
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is hot news and not news. This is a segment where we go over the latest topics in the world of sports. And if it's hot news, we're definitely going to talk about it in a little bit more detail. And if it's not news, we're going to tell you why and keep it pushing. I want to start off by talking about Kevin Durant. Man, it's sad to see that he has a sprained MCL after getting an MRI and could miss up to 4 to 6 weeks as well. Do I think that this is definitely hot news or not news? It definitely is hot news right now. Like, KD's playing at an MVP level. James Harden is second in turnovers. Kyrie can only play on some of the road games, like right now. I mean, so Kevin Durant's been that mainstay in that organization this entire time, and for him to miss a month and a half, potentially, it's like that could jeopardize their playoff positioning. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. They're still going to be a playoff team, but it could hurt their positioning going into like the playoffs as well. Some later in the later rounds, they might not have home field advantage like they would want, and that's probably going to be the end of it at the end of the day. But every little bit counts right now, especially with the East being so tough like they are, top heavy as like they are as well. Because I mean, sheesh. I mean, the Cavs are still there, right there in the top 5. The Bucks are still there. I mean, you never know what you're going to get out of 76ers if they can move, especially if they can add another couple pieces from the Ben Simmons trade, if a Ben Simmons trade was to happen. So, I mean, you got Miami as well. They can beat just about anybody, and Jimmy Butler's back. So, I mean, shoot. I mean, it's tough timing right now, but if any timing right now to be best, it's like right now while COVID's still ravaging through, everybody's still having issues like with the roster and with injuries. So you want to see KD get back because he's definitely one of everybody's favorite players. Like that you cannot have a league without KD. The years that he set out, and everybody's just like talking about everybody else but him. It was tough because you know that he's definitely one of the top 2 players in the world when it comes to basketball. So hopefully it gets better. Hopefully we can see him back out there because the more competition and everybody playing their best again, it's always going to be better for the fan and the product that they're putting out there. Next topic I want to get into, I got referee Jerome. I definitely want to talk about the referee Jerome Boger and his crew who refereed the Cincinnati and Raiders game. Are not likely going to be refereeing any more games to this playoffs. Based on a couple of questionable calls, including a touchdown that should probably not have stand because of the whistle that's been blown and major confusion throughout the play. It just was wild. It just was a wild game. There was a lot of blown calls in that one. A lot of excessive calls in that one as well. So they're not going to be able to get. they're not going to be able to get an opportunity to continue throughout the playoffs this year. And do I think that this is news or not news? Yes. Definitely, I think this is news. It shows that the NFL is aware of the product that they're putting out there from a referee standpoint and hold the referees accountable. If the referees were able to just go out there and just goof up games all season willy-nilly, like, what's the use? Like, what's the use of having close games and playoff games at this point? So you want to make sure that you have the best referee crews out there, and if they messed up an opportunity that was given, that's what it is. It's one and done, man. It's the playoffs for everybody, right? So, hey, it's good looking for the NFL. Keep going. Make sure that you have the best product out there again for the fans to watch. As long as they're doing that, there's nothing you can ever question or never talk bad about at that point. So, hey, they'll be back. They'll be back next season, and they have plenty of time in the off season to get better at what they do. There's a referee union. They're annually paid, so I mean they do have an off season that they can get better at their craft. So I hope that they do, and they take this as a lesson from there. I mean, they're a good crew to begin with, so they can only get better, right? All right, the next topic that I just got in yesterday as well was Draymond Green is going to miss another 2 weeks from the Golden State Warriors. That to me is definitely news for the Warriors. They have lost some huge games. If it wasn't that they were still winning at the pace that they were winning at, if they were still defensively keeping teams at bay like they usually are with Draymond Green anchoring down, then this would not be news. But to have some of the losses that they've had, I mean, going 4-5 in the span since he's been out, and to him missing probably another 2 weeks, is going to hurt the Warriors as well from a betting standpoint and from a standing standpoint, from a stance of where they're standing at in the seedings as well. It only puts that much distance between them and the Phoenix Suns. I feel like the more that Draymond's out, Phoenix is able to work without DeAndre Ayton. Jalen Samuels is a really good player for Phoenix, and has been able to seamlessly rotate in and give really good minutes for him. You would think that somebody for the Warriors wouldn't have been able to step up, but you're not going to be able to get what you get from an all-pro like Draymond Green. So, I mean, you would hope that he comes back. If you're a Warriors fan, if you're a Phoenix fan like me, it's huge news, and it just, again, puts that space between the two of them, which the Suns definitely need. All right, the next topic that I definitely wanted to talk about right quick was one Bol. He was traded to the Pistons, but the trade was voided after he failed a physical. Now, I looked into this a lot recently and tried to figure out why he failed the physical, and the fact that I can't find anything definitely makes it news as well. He's only played in about 14 games this year and averaged about 5 games a minute. And for a 7'2" guy that can handle the ball the way he does, rebound really well, can get block shots, can move really well, can guard some of the smaller guys with his length and with his quickness, and again 7'2" with a jump shot. I mean, you would think that they would find some rotation piece for him, but it's not such. And getting him out there to Detroit, to a team that could use his skill set and find some role for him was going to be a better bet for him in his career. But not passing the physical, there's only been like one known injury, and that was from his time in college when he broke his foot. He's played for a couple years now in the league and in the G League, so you would think that like like whatever it is, like with the foot, it would have been all right. But there's got to be some more to this that they're not saying. So, and when there's always smoke, there's definitely fire. So, I'm definitely wanting to follow up on this when there's more information available. This is one of the craziest topics for such a talented person like Bobo, who was one of the top recruits coming out of high school. He was flashed so much potential when he was playing in college before he broke his foot, and just has not gotten any opportunity really to this point to make any real roster spot for himself in Denver, and fell in a physical once he's traded to another team is just wild. So I mean, there's got to be more to this, and when there is more come out, I'll definitely let you know. All right, guys, that's wrapping up hot news and not news. When I come back, we're gonna go over my final thoughts, and I definitely want to talk about one Dallas Cowboy fans throwing shit at the referees. What is wrong with you guys? All right, guys, stay tuned. All right, guys, we're back again with my final thoughts for the day, and I just want to talk about those delusional Cowboy fans that are turned around and threw stuff at the referees at the end of that game and blamed it on them instead of who should have really been blamed in that game, which always is the Dallas Cowboys franchise from the top to the bottom, man. Like that, it's just stupid that they would treat those referees like that, knowing that like the Cowboys put themselves in that position. Like Jerry Jones said it himself, the Cowboys should never have put themselves in a position for an outcome like that to have happened. That's so true. I mean, Dak Prescott in the press conference agreeing with it, literally saying credit to them if that's the reason why they were throwing shit at the referees. I mean, no. That's not a good thing, dude. Like you make $75 million a year, and you think that the referees are to blame for a failed game and not you? Like who ran? Like there was a quarterback sneak with no timeouts and under 20 seconds left. Who had the ball? Not the referee. And every other team knows to give the ball to the referee so he can spot it. Except for the Cowboys. Nobody else knew that except for you guys. Everybody else has been doing it all season for previous years. At any point in time, you can go back on film and look at any 2-minute drive, successful 2-minute drive, and see the referee giving a player giving the ball to the referee to make sure that they can use as less time as possible. Also, Dak, you're in the way. Like you in the center are standing literally in the way of him getting around to spot the ball, costing y'all another second. Whose fault is that? The referee? And to see somebody like Skip Bayless say something like he wasn't in a dead sprint. No referee in no game in that situation has ever dead sprint behind a fucking quarterback in a sprint like that, or any play. No umpire has ever done that. So why are we changing the goalposts now for this one referee? Like it makes no sense, man. Like this is a tacky franchise, and the fact that Dak Prescott agrees with them shows that he should be the face of that franchise. Like it's terrible coaching came through again. Even worse management again from the top to the bottom. I'm like, and to think that this franchise is the top franchise in all of sports, worth over $3 billion, and to have damn near my whole lifetime they're not winning significant games is dumbfounded to me. Like it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. The expectations that are put on this team year in and year out for them to underwhelm, and when it matters the most every year, it's silly at this point. It's silly. You don't even have to ask. You just know that they're not gonna do anything when it matters the most because of everybody who's in the way. But like, there's a list of things that I could name for them, like for them not winning that game that has nothing to do with the referee, and it has way more to do with this game than the referee ever had. 14 penalties, guys. Like that extended the last drive, led the clock down to 38 seconds before they punted. Penalties. That had nothing to do with it. 2 defensive holding calls. I've never really seen a defensive holding call in a playoff game. I've seen it on probably some terrible teams, but never in a situation like that. And I've seen 2 of them. Like, you deserve to lose that game by all means. You're down 23-7 because Dak throws an interception on their side of the field and they score again. Like, whose fault is it? 77 rushing yards with 21 attempts. Like, you're not even trying to run your offense. Whose fault is that? Like, there's a million other reasons why they lost that game, and it should not be the fucking referee's fault at all. But at the end of the day, the silver lining of it is I hope that they continue using this as an excuse. I'm going to agree with them on the face, like, so that they can come back next year with the same bull crap again and end up doing the same thing at the end of the day. Underwhelming when it matters the most, like they always do. So, as somebody who's not a Cowboys fan, I love to see the train crash every year. And next year, I'm projecting off rip another train crash if they don't fix it. Like, there's gonna be a wreck going somewhere along the lines because they're going to come out with the exact same mentality next year. If Mike McCarthy comes back, you can already count them to almost even miss the playoffs at this point. So, I mean, it's just delusional that you would blame the fans, and the fans would blame the referees for a game that Dallas wasn't even in. Like, it was just on some BS last-second crap that they were pulling. It's on some garbage time stat-wise number stuff that they were pulling out. So, no, you were not going to win that game. There's no even chance. But the fact that you're sitting in the stands crying that Dallas lost another playoff game at home, it just shows the delusion of that franchise, man. It's sickening. Like, to talk to real, like, diehard Cowboy fans about their team, because at the end of the day, you just laugh as usual in their face. I mean, they deserve to get crapped on because of how hard they come every year at the beginning of the year. Again, it's a tacky franchise with poor coaching, a crap ton of talent, but like just terrible management, man. Like it's terrible to see that they're still worth as much and have the fan base as rabid as they are. Like settle down, and we'll see y'all next September to do this all over again. Alright guys, that's the end of my final thoughts and my rant for the day. If you made it this far, I want to say thank you for watching first and foremost. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you already haven't. And I want to take a second as well to give a shout out to everybody in the Chism Channel organization that had a hand in putting this show together. Y'all already know I can't do it without you. Hey guys, again, thanks for watching. I'm your host, Jackie Chism. This is episode 18. Until we meet again, guys, peace.
Perfect. brought to you by the Chism Channel and TCC Productions.